Here's the full English translation: lower class. You wake up early, very early. The old fan makes noise all night long. The room is small, hot, cramped. You check your bank account before you even get up and start calculating how much is left to pay, how much needs to last until the next paycheck. The money already has a destination before it even lands. Rent, electricity, groceries, transportation, and there's almost never anything left over. You take a packed bus, work tired, come home tired, and still keep trying. Because when you live at the base of the pyramid, the main goal isn't to get rich, it's to survive without collapsing. You learn to check the price of everything: rice, oil, shampoo, seasoning. You compare brands at the market like you're solving a difficult exam. Any unexpected expense is scary. A broken phone, a doctor's appointment, medicine, everything becomes a problem. And little by little you realize that poverty isn't just lack of money, it's excess worry. Lower middle class. Now your life has improved a little. Maybe you have a motorcycle. Maybe you can order delivery sometimes. Maybe there's some money left over at the end of the month. But anxiety still exists. You still depend completely on the next paycheck and live with a strange feeling. You're no longer sinking, but you're also far from feeling secure. This is where the trap of false stability is born, because your life seems comfortable until a big problem comes up. The middle class lives chasing stability: a better car, a better apartment, a better neighborhood. You start financing bigger things: TV, phone, furniture, and without realizing it, your whole life becomes financed. Now you seem successful on the outside, but inside you're still trapped, because a large part of the middle class lives just a few paychecks away from financial chaos. Traditional middle class. Now you earn relatively well, have a car, health insurance, maybe travel once a year. People look at you and say, you made it in life. But there's a silent truth here. You still trade time for money. Your standard of living depends directly on continuing to work, and this creates a constant fear, the fear of losing everything. Because the higher the standard, the higher the costs. At this level, comparison becomes routine. You start meeting people with better cars, better apartments, better trips, and without realizing it, you start running an endless race, the race of appearances. Because society rewards those who look rich even if they're completely in debt. There are people earning well but with no wealth at all, living paycheck to paycheck, just with a nicer car in the garage. Upper middle class. Now your life changes visibly. You live in a good neighborhood, your grocery store changes, your restaurant changes, your social circle changes. You start frequenting places that used to seem impossible. And for the first time, there's real money left over. Now you can invest, think long-term, build wealth. And this is where the difference is born between those who will get rich and those who will just keep maintaining appearances. Because some people use extra money to consume, others use it to buy future freedom. There's a different feeling when you accumulate money for the first time. The first $10,000 saved, then $50,000, then $100,000. You start to feel something rare: security. Your mind changes, you sleep better, you make better decisions, you don't accept humiliation out of desperation, and for the first time, money starts working in your favor. Upper class. Now your life seems far from most people's reality. You live in a penthouse, travel frequently, walk into restaurants without checking the prices. Your car draws attention, you buy comfort, buy convenience, buy time. And this completely changes your routine. You don't stand in line, don't waste hours in transit, don't live worried about bills arriving. But something curious happens. The problems don't disappear, they just change shape. In the upper class, the fear is no longer about surviving, it's about maintaining. You start thinking about wealth, investments, companies, taxes, financial protection. Now, your decisions move large amounts of money, and any mistake costs a lot. Besides that, another silent problem arises: disconnection. Because the higher you climb, the fewer people understand your reality. There's an uncomfortable truth. The world treats rich people differently. People respond faster, listen more, respect more. Doors open automatically. You realize that money doesn't just buy objects, it buys influence. And influence completely changes your life experience. The very rich class. Now we're talking about people who no longer need to work. Wealth generates income on its own. Money comes in even while they sleep. Companies, real estate, investments, equity stakes. At this point, money stops being about survival. It becomes a tool of freedom, a tool of power, a tool of influence. The strangest thing about extreme wealth is adaptation. The luxury car becomes normal, the penthouse becomes normal, international trips become routine. The human brain gets used to everything. And this makes a lot of people enter an endless pursuit of more. More money, more status, more luxury, as if there were a finish line. But there almost never is. The most brutal thing about social class in Brazil is that each level seems like a different country. The lower class knows one Brazil, the middle class knows another, the upper class lives in almost another reality altogether. The neighborhoods change, the schools change, the hospitals change, safety changes, even the way people think changes. Many people are born without access, without financial education, without opportunity, without connections. And this creates a cycle that's hard to break. Because when you grow up seeing only survival, you start to believe that surviving is the most you can achieve. And that's why climbing socially seems so impossible for so many people. Your environment changes everything. The people around you influence how much you earn, how you think, what you believe is possible. In some places, surviving is already considered a victory. In others, building companies is normal, and this completely changes your worldview. Up to a certain point, yes, money buys comfort, security, better health, time, freedom. Anyone who has ever lived without money knows this. But after a certain level, happiness stops growing at the same rate because emotional problems still exist, loneliness still exists, anxiety still exists. There's a common mistake found in practically every social class: spending to impress. There are poor people trying to look rich. There are rich people trying to look like billionaires. And in this endless race, millions live beyond their means. Meanwhile, quiet people build wealth without showing anything. At first, you want money to survive, then to live well, then to prove your worth. But in the end, almost everyone realizes the same thing. The real goal was freedom. Freedom to wake up without fear, to choose, to live without constant pressure. Your social class changes your reality, changes your problems, changes your opportunities. But there's one thing that changes destinies more than money: mindset. Because some people use every opportunity to grow while others settle in. And in the end, wealth isn't just about how much money you earn, it's about how much control you have over your own life.